Hey, here we are with Howard Chance. And Howard, I don't know if you want to plug something. You have anything to plug
No,
or?
I'm good. Just met you guys from Exploding Rainbows. I have my own group. I don't know, not really group, and nothing by chance on Facebook. But that's about all I got going on right now.
Okay. I like that name, Nothing by Chance on Facebook.
Yeah,
I like it.
that one's public, and then I don't know, not really is private. So it's
Oh,
whichever way you want to go with that. Whether you want your post to be public or private.
oh, I see.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
I figure we start with, I mean, if you want to share a little bit of your story, Howard, like,
Oh, sure. I started talking with people about non-duality, I guess, um, 5 years ago or something like that. 5, 10 years. I don't even really know. I've been doing it all my life. I just didn't know it had a name until about 5 years ago, when I met Nancy Neithercut. Um, and I realized that all these people that were going to see gurus and all of this stuff were essentially talking about the same thing, that I had experienced when I was a kid. And I spent all my life, for some reason or another, um, trying to explain what had happened. You're trying to explain this switch in perception that I had, but it never occurred to me to ask anybody else. I just, I never it never occurred to me that anybody else would know what I was talking about. So I just went about trying to figure out how to say it on my own. And it wasn't until Nancy Neithercut that I realized it had a name. At first, I thought it was something that non-duality. I thought, oh my god, here are all these people all around the world. There's this huge genre of all these folks that are seeking, and all these people speaking about it. And I thought, I had met, you know, a community, which was like the oddest thing to me, a community of non-dualists. I thought it was the funniest thing. And but it turned out really soon I realized that there's a lot of fighting going on, going through the ranks of the non-dualist types. There's a lot of fighting about what is and what isn't non-duality, and all this other kind of thing. And I realized really soon it's not like a kumbaya thing, but almost like it was incredibly abusive. you know and I realized that still nobody agreed with what I was saying. Initially I was shunned pretty hard, um but at the same time I was intrigued enough to stick around, in a loose way, just kind of, until finally people started realizing that, I had my own way of saying it, I had my own way of doing it, and but I was, also not exclusive. I mean, it's not like my way or the highway. It's just the way I saw it. And I think I started making friends, and eventually, you get out of the argumentative aspect of it, and the way it is now, I have a pretty, it's pretty comfortable. I mean, I talk with people all day long, and about various different things in their life. It doesn't necessarily have to do with non-duality specifically. However, people will say, well, take a break. You don't, everything's not about non-duality. Well, for me, it is. I mean, for me, everything is kind of that way. It's just the way I am. And I've been since I was 8, and even probably before that. But um, and so I spent my life trying to figure out how to articulate this experience. And I would start it out with saying it's not time and space, and it's only, it's just the immediate experience, and it's, it's now and infinite, and all these other kind of things. And yeah, and it's turned into this kind of group of people that seem to understand. Certain people seem to understand what I'm saying or resonate with it, however you want to say that. And it's kind of growing all the time. It's really fascinating, because now it's where I've become accepted enough to where I don't have to fight about everything. People will ask
Mm.
me a question, and they know what to expect, how, or they respect me enough to just let me answer it the way I do, rather than try to
Mm.
give me
Yeah.
lessons on how to say it. It's the hardest thing in the world. Is like with the first thing I couldn't realize was, why is everybody so hung up on how you're saying it? I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah.
What, what difference does it make? I mean, you understand what I mean, right? I mean,
Mm.
it's like I thought I was going back to an English class or something.
Mm.
I came across some versions of non-duality that I liked, and then others that I realized, there's just so many different ways of looking at it that
Mm.
it's actually quite freeing. Actually, there's a moniker of non-duality. However, really, even with like the extreme non-dualists, or the non-conditional, the Tony Parsons
Mm.
type of people,
Uh-huh.
um, even they have their own way of doing it. As much as they like to stay within a bandwidth, they have their own particular style, and there's a freedom in that. In that even in non-duality, appearances are all unique to themselves, and there's no two appearances exactly alike.
Yeah.
Particularly with
So,
any
so you,
object
So,
or a thing. So,
I was gonna
but
ask. So you weren't like a big seeker because you came across something at 8 years old, and
yeah, no, I
some
never. That,
people.
that was it was so bizarre. I was never a seeker. Um,
so my
I was
question,
never a seeker. Yeah,
so you came across it when you were 8. So my
yeah.
question is, what out that during that time, what was going on in your life that was traumatic?
Well, 2 weeks later, I was. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna be honest with you, Melissa. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just not going. But it's just my story. I'm stuck with having to tell this story. Um, but no, I was shown some things, and it wasn't that
Mhm.
it happened after it happened, or it wasn't that something terrible happened before. Something terrible happened after, and as time and space appears to, be a linear chain of events, I was shown that my father would be sick. He would be out of my life for all intents and purposes, and how that was going to happen, and where I was shown a lot of things.
So you
Told my
had
mom
more
about.
visions when you were younger, is what you're
Yes,
saying. So, because I
yeah,
relate to
something
that
like
because
that.
I
Yeah,
I have the
yeah,
same thing, because that's
yeah.
why I'm saying it's so you had more visions when you were younger, so I guess that was able to make you, I shouldn't say make you see, but to change your perception of the way you see things at a younger age.
It fascinated my it completely fascinated my uh, curiosity about what is time and space. I mean, why do they call it? What is time? What does that mean?
Mhm,
And how is that experienced? What is that? What is the
mhm.
nature of time? Because I'm seeing things
Right,
before they happen. So what does
right.
that mean? How is this working? And so that's what I got interested in. But I knew it wasn't, for me now, it wasn't spiritual, nor was it physical. It was neither. It was before. It was like beyond either one. I'm not saying that there is a God or there's not a God, right? I'm saying that
Mhm.
it seemed to me to go beyond those those depictions. I mean, it was like irrelevant. Um, and so, and I asked, and the thing about it was, is like, but I also got the impression that it was totally, you know, okay with you calling it God out of convenience. You know what I'm saying? Because it's difficult to describe, and every time you talk about it, it's like, what do you say? So some people call it a God, and a lot of people actually call it God, even though they know it's not a deity in that respect, or at least that's their opinion of it. it goes beyond the idea that there's something that is created or something that needs to be lorded over, or
Right. So
there's
how
not a
does that
god or
fit in?
not a god.
How's
Huh.
that fit into non-duality though? Like having divisions, because if non-duality is a story or your story or whatever, then how does visions fit into your non-duality? Because
Oh,
visions, you can have them from the past or you can have them from the future. So how's that
well,
fit
see,
into
that's
non-duality?
okay. Well, the moment appears as a linear chain of events. We seem to be moving through a smooth linear chain of events.
Hmm.
Now, there's a lot of ways I can approach answering this. And I'll ask you a question in return so I can kind of know the best way to answer.
Right.
Um, how would you see it? I mean, do you time? It's funny. It doesn't move. Okay, we're not moving through time. As far as I can tell, uh, where it seems like it's moving in a linear chain, it's actually just one. It's not even a point, but it expands and contracts. Say, rather than moving forward or backwards, it actually is moving in every direction simultaneously. In
Hmm.
that you could choose any way you want to go and appear dualistically interacting with your environment and yourself being completely unknowable insofar as a definition of a reality. Um, However, appearing the unknowable to me is kind of the non-duality in that everything is unknowable, everything appears as just completely just out of nowhere, and what appears to be interactive with it myself, the reaction to that unknowability is the dualistic aspect of what appears to be time. I'm interacting with things relative to myself, and that makes time appear linear in a chain of events. But it's not only that, it seems that way. You're just going through that one line of uh, of experience, but in reality, you're in every place and every time. And this is just my how it looked to me. You're in every place at every time, every possible place, and every possible time, every possible thing that you could do or say is happening simultaneously. And you seem like you're going through a linear chain of events because you're, choosing to be you as you are. And that's the the thing about it is that people will say, well, that's dualistic or non-dualistic. And I'm saying, well, dualistic and non-dualistic are labels that we're putting on what appears to be separate things, but they're not separate. It's all the same thing. We just call it dualistic or non-dualistic. So it's both dualistic and non-dualistic simultaneously. It's it's, it's so malleable that it's so malleable and changeable that it's in on the one hand impossible to describe, and it's just infinity and times infinity in the moment, every apparent moment. It's just every possibility going in
So
every
you're
direction.
describing a person.
Yes, however, the person itself that appears to be you or me or Alicia are simply just that one line, that one appearance of decisions that makes you who you appear to be.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that like a lot of people will say that you don't make a decision or there's no you or any of that
Right.
kind of thing. Okay, the way I look at that is I don't see it that way. I see that we are interactive. We are not foundationally real as a definition of reality would indicate. Like we're individuals that go through a medium in time and space. That's not definitionally accurate at all. I mean, it's not even you can't even say it's accurate descriptionally. I mean, you can only say that it appears this way. But we're interactive, or we can't know it one way or the other, or it actually is, somehow already done for you at sometimes, and they are already done. Sometimes you are just being expressed by what is, but then at other times you are interactive. It's not one thing or another. It's every possibility all the time. It just changes and fluctuates like fluid, like water. And so the funny thing is that when I was just kind of with myself, with my thoughts, and trying to figure out how to say these things, I had 40 years to do that. Or 40 plus. I'm 55 now, 54, 55. So at age, so 47 years, um, nobody ever told me how to say it. So I kind of, when somebody would try to get me to understand their way, I would just read, no, I'm not going to do it. Right. However, I felt like insecure because I didn't know, nobody had ever told me. So I always felt like I was going to be lacking. So that when I ended up going to these classes and stuff, what it turned out was the people that were actually the teachers or the seeker, the people, the speakers, really didn't know anything at all. And I not all of them, but a lot of them were incredibly basic and not very intricate at all. And I was told I was an academic, I was an intellectual, I was a philosopher. I was like, what the? You guys just sit up there and make these stupid claims, and people give you money. I mean, what is this? And I just couldn't believe it. And that's what it was. It was just people sitting there just saying this is what it is. And then if you ask them, well, what do you think about it? Well, how is that? How can that be? How can you make that claim and verify it? And they can't. And then, but they say, well, I'm not a philosopher. Well, you're just up there making a claim. I could be up there saying Jesus Christ is on the cross dying for you. It's the same thing. Why are what you're saying different from any other claim? And they can't answer it. And the funniest thing is, all these years I was running away from these folks. Now I find out that I'm actually more intricate, and I tend to attract a certain kind of people. I don't know where I went with that, Melissa. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Uh,
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to. I
so did
wanted to
you?
explain it.
Uh,
I wanted to explain why I'm so long-winded about stuff and why I like to be
uh,
accurate.
You're
And
fine.
in the process, maybe
sometimes,
I. Anyways, sorry
sometimes,
about that.
the way I've heard you before, and sometimes it's pretty intense at times, and also the tone sounds like you're claiming something, which I know you're not, and
Mhm.
also sometimes you go into scientific words, maybe, um,
Yeah.
and and a lot of people agree with you, of course, but they get lost in the words, trying to follow the words.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's the thing. I never wanted to be a person that just sat up there and made a baseless claim,
mm,
that I can't verify. So I spent my life trying to articulate these details, right?
yeah,
And it turns out that a lot of people don't want the detail. They don't care. They would rather just have you make a claim. It's just tell me what to believe. And
mm.
and it's like every question I get. It's so funny if I say it, really basic,
uh,
then I am, I'm chastised for being too basic. And then
right,
if I get too intricate, then I'm, oh, I just like it, I just like it simple. You really can't win when you're dealing with the general
right.
public.
So do you
And
feel like there should be non-duality speakers or no?
oh,
Oh,
sure.
that was a good
Yeah, I mean,
question.
anybody can do whatever they want. The beautiful thing about non-duality is that there really truly no rules. I mean, I don't even know. I was talking to a guy the other day. I said, what do you think non-duality is? I mean, what do you say when you say non-duality? What do you mean? And
Mhm.
what the answer I got was like, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, but I didn't want to be a jerk or anything, but I was like,
Aw, come on.
okay.
Made him cry.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Well, what do you, I mean, it's just ridiculous. What does that
Yeah,
have to do with non-duality? And it was just the most amazing thing. And this guy has plenty of, a lot of people love him, and I'm like, he kept using these phrases, and I kept I would ask him, well, what does that phrase mean? Because you keep using it, but I'm not. You use it in different places, and I think it's are you trying to use it to confuse people because you don't know how to answer something, and that's kind of what it was. He didn't know how to explain his own phraseology, and I was like,
Uh,
okay. What do you want me to do here? I mean, I've got a guy literally just gibbering about nothing. I mean, just completely has no idea what non-duality is. He's been doing it. I mean, and who am I to say? But literally, not two. Okay. Now, what? And everything he talked about was completely about separation. And I was just like, it was completely dualistic. And how you could still follow under the moniker of non-duality, I have no idea, but that's how anarchistic it is. I mean, it's just literally you can throw non-duality on anything because, in fact, I mean, there are no things; they just appear to be. So, there is nothing that is not non-dual. And then you try to explain the appearance of duality, like for example, um, the autonomy of the appearance. Just because we are not objectively real doesn't mean that we're not interacting. And it doesn't matter anyways, because just to me, if I am not separate from what is, right? Say everything and nothing, right? If the appearance of experience, existence, if I'm not separate from this, whatever it is, uh, then I appear to be this making a decision. I appear to be this communicating. I mean, I am this, I am everything appearing as just me interacting with folks. And we're all the same. We are all each other, just different aspects of that line of navigating what already is, just in our own particular way. And that's what makes us appear different and appear separate. But that's just one way to look at it. There's in so many different ways you can see it. But for me, it doesn't even matter. The thing is that making a claim can't be verified one way or another. So it's the lack of claim. It's that I'm saying that you can't make a claim and verify it. So it's not I am autonomous or I am not autonomous. It's that it's both. It's neither. It's something else. It just appears communicative. It appears that we are interacting, and the appearance is the reality because
mhm.
there's no. It's like some people will say, "Well, the seeker just wants to, you know, feel like they exist." And it's like, well, if the seeker does not have any autonomy and they're not making a decision, then how is the seeker wanting to do anything? How does the seeker want to exist? That's not the seeker doing it. That's whatever this is. So, of course, they're autonomous in that respect. Otherwise, it's just what difference does it make? It just, the appearance of interaction without it. Why talk about it? Why even care? I mean, what difference does it make? And you can't know one way or the other. So I think it's both and neither and something else. And it's something undescribable, but I feel communicative. So, and why is, I'm not separate from what is. So that's what is.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Two questions. Do you
Yeah.
believe in aliens?
Well, within the parameters of duality, time and space,
Okay.
I think the appearance of us could interact with aliens. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine that we would be the only thing, but
Mhm.
that's only within the auspices of the appearance being actual. It
Mhm.
would still, but within the story of our universe, I can't imagine us being alone. No.
So what do you think about us being a Sims game and aliens are playing it?
Well, the beauty of that is it's just indicative of the reality that you cannot know what reality is. You don't know if it's a Sims game. You don't know if it's um, a quantum fluctuation. You don't know if it's
Right.
if you're a brain in a jar. You don't know if it has nothing to do with anything like that. It's just appearing out of nothing. You literally uh, are the reaction to other, whatever appears to make you aware that there's something else, right? But that something else comes from nothing. You cannot know. Like some people would say it's subconsciousness. However, you cannot validate your consciousness. So whatever appears to be there, you whatever reaction you have to that other, you are the awareness of that other. So you're the dualistic reaction to the non-dualistic appearance of something else. You're all of a sudden aware that there's something else. That's when you coalesce, realize
So
that you're you, and then
okay,
react
so
to
if
it.
we go down that crazy road, right, and say, okay, we're being played by aliens, right? But then then the next question is, where do the aliens come from, right?
Well, see,
And
and
so
that's
on,
the
just like
well,
you were. Go ahead.
no, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
No, I was
absolutely
just
right.
gonna say that's the explanation needed in explanation, which is kind of like your infinite regress.
Yeah.
You
None of
talk
it,
about.
none of it has an answer, because if it is an alien program, or if it is a future human program, and we just appear to be in this whole thing is just a program, and it's just future humans that kind of create a Sims game, whatever. It doesn't have to be aliens. It could be us. It could be anything. It doesn't
True.
matter. The reality of it is, you don't know if that programmer has a foundational reality in which they can prove that they exist. They if it's a future human, or if it's another alien within this auspices of separation and duality, they will not be able to tell you what reality is. The aliens will say, we don't know if this is a simulation, because you cannot foundationally verify that this is actually happening. It only appears to be that, and there's no way that you can get out of that mess. So if it very well could be a simulation, but it could be a simulation of those people that made that simulation could be in a simulation, and those people could be in a simulation,
Yeah.
and it can go infinitely.
Yeah.
A program on top of a program on top of a program on top of a program, without there ever being a foundational reality. So it can go back as far as you like, but until somebody can verify experience as actual, we will never know
Yeah.
if reality exists, or if existence itself
And
exists.
yeah.
And
So
that's the beauty of it. The fact that, yes, it very well could be a simulation. However,
It,
it doesn't answer any
and
questions.
that also can be said of anything that's known in
Yeah,
quotation, right? Yeah. Anything.
yeah,
so do
yeah.
you believe in the past? Do you
No,
believe that there's
no.
a past?
Well, yes, I believe that the past, the present, and the future happen are simultaneous, and it only appears linear as a chain of events, because we are like, look at it like this. Just for example,
Mhm.
look at it like this. Say, and this is completely paradoxical, and it's just an illustration. But say uh, a light dome is unmovable light dome, right? And you're
Mhm.
touching the light, right?
Mhm.
What the light represents the entirety of experience, the entirety of what we would consider time and space of the universe, right? And every possibility that you could be, and all of us could be, is on this light, right? And you touch the light, and as you touch it and move your finger along the light, this is your experience. Now, all experience and all time is already there. It's not moving, but you are this little pressure point drawing a line through experience. You see what I'm saying? So, though you are not separate from the rest of it, you only appear as this one linear chain. And that's just what it is. We're not separate from each other. We're just drawing different lines.
So
That's
how
how
do
it
you
is.
feel about the flat earth people?
That's just,
I'm just curious because there's some people
well,
that believe that
Well,
the Holocaust didn't happen. Some
maybe.
people
yeah,
believe that there's a
I don't
flat
think
earth.
that we
So how
the
does that go into non-duality?
it doesn't. As far as I know, I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea what
Because if there's
to
no
look at
person and it's a
to consider
simulation, then
the
how do you
Earth
know?
flat. To consider the Earth flat, you are living in an entirely different paradigm than me. I have no idea what you mean, how that's even possible. I've looked at the science behind it. It
Mhm.
is literally just bonkers ridiculous. To even consider that to be real is or to consider that actually the way the appearance actually works is ridiculous. Now, the appearance clearly the cool thing about like relativity and say uh, gravity, the curvature of space time. Um, this is the weirdest thing about it is it's like this is how things appear to act, but we don't know why they act. We don't know why mass bends the sheet of space time. You know what I mean? And I mean that's what I find fascinating. It's like okay, gravity appears to work this way because
Mm,
mass bends the sheet of space time, yet
mm,
we don't know why mass bends the sheet
yeah.
of space time, and it's like, and how,
Yeah.
things travel through those processes,
Mm,
is fascinating. All the things that we're learning through that, um, just all the things that we don't know
yeah.
about,
Right.
about, the most basic things about our universe. It's fascinating to me. But to say it's flat, to me, you would have to. I mean, I just can't imagine ever even looking at it like that. It's just not that way to me. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, to look at the solar system and say, "Oh no, this is a flat Earth," is, I mean, to me, it's like I've had a
I mean, all
telescope
that.
when I was a kid, and I love science, so and it's not
Yeah.
hard to get a link to see how it works. So no, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's all just like you said. It's all just a description. Like gravity
yeah,
is not really a thing. It's just a description of what happens, and
hmm
then everything's based on something we're just describing. It's just description upon description,
yeah.
and
So
it's
then
like
it's
the whole
not
point.
really so then it could actually be flat then if it's just a description.
Well, it could be flat. Not only could it be flat, but it actually, I mean, in reality, the appearance itself is everything that you everything that you think it is. I mean,
Yeah.
and more. It's like it's not. It's it is flat. If you think it's flat, it's flat. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's it doesn't have to be anything.
Sounds all
In
right.
fact, is everything. Instead of thinking of it that way, of like, well, it's either flat or it's round. It's both. It's and a million other things. It's any possibility imaginable. And like, for example, if you want to look at two different, completely different ways of looking at something, but from two reputable people, reputable to say the least, but brilliant minds would be Tesla and Einstein. The way they look at gravity and the way they look at the universe is so completely just way different. However, when they talk together, Einstein was like, man, yeah, he was like, Tesla's actually not wrong. I can't say that he's wrong. And Tesla said, I can't say that Einstein's wrong. However, I can't say I'm wrong either. I mean, I'm right too. And even within the science community, often ideas completely meld and stuff. And I'm just, and the funny thing is I'm sitting there scoffing about a flat Earth because I've seen the curvature of it and all of that kind of thing. But who knows? There's all kinds of, but I'm not going to say it's one thing or another. But it's such a standard. Being in the Navy, circumnavigating the globe, having traveled around the world,
Mhm.
it literally just is. I mean, you go up in the air and you can see the curvature of the Earth. It's round. The moon is round. I mean, everything, the planets are round. It's just a ridiculous. Why would it be flat when everything else is a sphere? But
So
again,
do you feel like non-duality is more scientific?
Okay.
it can be for people that want it to be. I mean, I can get pretty intricate into as to why. Like I talk about consciousness a lot, and
Right.
Okay.
things like that. You can get intricate. What I found out was when I thought I was being way too elementary, um, it turned out I was being way too complicated. And it just it blew my mind out what people listen to. But I was like, but you could say, like Hindus and with the blue monkey god and all that kind of stuff is just as ridiculous to me as the flat Earth.
Oh, the
However,
blue monkey god.
Yeah, they got a blue monkey god. Yeah, it's pretty. He's
Was the
pretty
dude
big
just
time.
hang around?
Nah, he's got a great story. It's all just stories.
Really? I need to read up
Yeah.
on that.
Oh, you got well. It's the one thing that got me not wanting to talk about non-duality in the outset was all of these ridiculous mythical stories. I
Mhm.
thought didn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be some kind of children's Bible story. It doesn't
Right.
have to do that. You can. I mean, it's not that way. It's just not. It doesn't have to be mythical. There's nothing. You don't have to make these deities up in order to, you know. But I guess in another way though, it is helpful, and it depends on who you're talking to and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
for some reason, got hooked into talking about Jesus all day today, and
Oh,
I've read the Bible there, and people try to make. I read the Old and New Testament, and people try to make a lot out of Jesus was a non-dualist or whatever.
okay.
You got to make a lot of
Okay.
he did say a few things that hint at it, but I mean, you got to make a lot of connections in order to say that Jesus was a non-dualist. He also did a lot of things that were not non-dual at all. Conducive, but it doesn't matter. It's just the beautiful part about it is that there are non-dualists that totally believe in Jesus. It doesn't,
Oh,
and to be able to talk with them, and it doesn't matter what my belief is. I love Jesus too. It's just not, I just have a different take on it. Like I believe every person that has ever read the Bible has a different take on the Bible, and in
mhm.
this way, it's a lot of people will say non-duality. It's like it's already whole and complete. You don't have anything to do with anything. There is nobody here. Blah 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 blah, and we're just already done, right? Before we even have anything, before it's such a
Yeah.
ridiculous thing to do. But I mean, that's what they're saying, right? So you're
Yeah.
already done, right? And for me, it's not like that at all. And I can explain why. I can explain why it's not like that, and why to say that is completely contradictory, and all of this kind of thing. But
Yeah.
you know, I forgot. I
Yeah.
lost my place. What were we
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about?
Look. Okay. So yeah, like you're saying, like you can fit any story within the story that you want it to. That's called
Yeah,
confirmation bias, and you look
yeah,
for evidence of the theory that you already have. That's
right.
just a human misjudgment.
Well, like
And
with my
A human
experience, like I
misjudgment of saying there's a
knew.
person.
Well, like with my experience, for example, my story. If there's somebody, when with this issue of having autonomy as an appearance, um, where I'm, for I'm just gonna speak, in loose language here, but I was outside of time and space, looking at time and space as a separate entity. And I was talking to somebody else. I was showing it to me, and I'm like, and even at 8 years old, I was like, how can we be outside of time and space and still be talking? And how are you showing me things about my life 40 years from now? And I have any kind of free will? I mean, that's ridiculous. How can that be? How can I already know what's going to happen and still be free? You know what I mean? How can we not be in time and space and be communicating? That doesn't make any sense. And even then it was one of these things where the what was alluded to, not so much in language, but I was shown, was the fact that all of these things aren't different. They appear as different aspects of, like time and space and communication, and already done, and spontaneous, and interactive, yet never have happened. They are all simultaneous in akin to something like simultaneity. They have nothing to do with, and with me, it goes further than that. It was shown to me to be one of an infinite amount of games, of which none are separate. And though we are not privy to that understanding, that this moment is malleable to your ability to see it for what it is, which is infinite. For me, that's what it's both finite and infinite. It appears as a linear chain of events, but it's actually not moving your line is just moving through it, your line of experiences. But then we are all moving, it's and that's another thing, a lot of the illustrations are very basic and parochial, but you times them by some, insane number or infinity itself. The funny thing being, infinity, much like uh infinity or now, both have they're both approximations about time. We don't know, we can never know if infinity actually exists unless everything ends, right? So it's an approximation that you cannot leave, whereas now is never something that you can talk about within the parameters of its definition. However, you can also never escape because it's always now, right? So it's always now and it's always infinite. You can't be out of each.
So what
But
happens
we've
when you
never.
die? Do you
Well, I
die
don't
or
know.
do you just keep going? I
Well,
mean, nobody's immortal.
right. Well, that's the funny thing. It's we appear to be mortals, yes, but um, at the same time, it's like this is a difficult one. I don't know, like outright. I'm just going to say I don't know. However, the way it appears to me is that we are infinite, and we are not we're not separate. We just appear to be, and yet we appear to die. Our lines end, but like the song "Within You and Without You," awareness, for example, people will say, well, if this is just the awareness, the appearance of a consciousness, right, that can't be verified, and it's this awareness that is the entirety of existence, well, then when I die, does the existence die with me, or does it continue? Because if it's just me,
Mhm.
how can it go on without me? And then so it's within you and without you, because on top of that, you don't actually exist as an individual. So it's the appearance of a non-existent individual awareness, and then their appearance actually goes, and your awareness continues without you anyhow. So it's just
So
paradoxical
it's kind of like having a
beyond.
soul, pretty much.
Well, yeah, you could call
A
it.
soul, which is you can continue to go without your actual human
Uh,
form,
Well, well,
technically.
this is the thing is that your what is you, or what seems to be you, your line
Mhm.
that you're moving through experience, is in this moment infinitely, because you
Mhm.
can be, no matter where you are in this line, you will think that it's a linear chain of events because you're always here. It doesn't move, just your perception through the line moves. So you die, okay, but you also are never, you're infinite. You are both infinite and non-existent. As this appears,
You
yeah,
can't be
as this
one and you
appears,
can't be both. You can't be infinite
yeah,
and non-existent.
yeah, yeah, because it's not
How?
time. Yeah, because you don't exist. You don't exist as this individual, right? However, existence itself expresses you running through this experience, but you are everything. You can't see it. You just don't know it. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it appears. It's like we're going back to the light. Okay, the light is there. It's all experiences at all times.
Mhm.
It doesn't move. It's just your line of experience moving through it. So your line of experience never changes in that all the decisions you've made to this point lead up to this moment. Um, is why you are who you are. Melissa is Melissa. But if you turned left instead of right 10 years ago, you would be in a completely different Melissa. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay, but I don't agree with that because when you're a child, all the decisions that we've made were off the perception of what our parents or somebody has told us to do. So technically, we are not who we actually are supposed to be because we were never able to learn it on our own because
well, see,
somebody
there's
else has
nothing that
always been telling us
there's
that.
no way. Well, there's no right or wrong way to be you, though. See, it's just you are what you are, because of these different various appearances interacting with each other, you yourself making decisions and other people that have authority over you making decisions for you or putting impressions on you, all of these things. Yeah, all of these lines, like I said, it's not just your line, it's everyone's line moving through the experience, and all of the communications that go with that appear to be connected and communicate and
Right.
affect each other, right?
But it's
However,
not but it's not, it's kind of like saying, it's like, you don't know who you will actually be if you did not have those influences. You could be a completely different person. Like me, I could be a completely different person if I did not have certain people in my life who dictated or told me the way I was supposed to be growing up. So I
yeah,
would be a completely different person than what I am. So
yeah.
technically, you don't really know who you actually are because somebody
Well,
else
that's
is actually imprinted on you to
You are
be
absolutely
something that
right.
you wanted
Yes.
them to be.
Yes, ma'am. You are absolutely right. But it's also you too. If you took the left and took the right,
Right.
5, 10 years ago, you'd be totally different person, regardless.
Yeah.
Because but it's that and other people's influence. You're absolutely right. There's nothing that you can think about this that is wrong or right. It's not about that. It's beyond wrong. It is what appears, right? As
Mhm.
we were talking about before, yeah, or like yesterday, this immediate experience, for lack of a better phrase, is not relative to another position. So, you know, what appears to be immediate experience, seems to be the totality of the physicality of duality,
Mhm.
right? But it's also the infinite of non-duality within the appearance of your subject object. For instance, um, a story can be written, right? It's already written, but every time you read the story, it's another story because you see something
Mhm.
else in it, right? And that's what subject object is. We
Right.
are, yeah, that's what subject object is. We're going through a story that doesn't change, but we change our perception of what it
Right.
said. We change our understanding of it. So that is what's appearing dualistic, is the
Mhm.
appearance of an individual moving through a medium of the environment
Right.
as a particular perspective. And that's what makes your identity your identity. However, it's not chained to a foundation that can say,
Mhm.
this is what you are. You can't say
Right.
that. But, and there is, and in that way, there's no wrong way or right way to be you. There's no wrong way or right way
Mhm.
to say these things. And when you kind of get beyond these argumentative stages of what is and is not, and what's true, what's real, what's not real, all when you get beyond that and you realize that it's all just the appearance of real and unreal, the appearance of death and life, the appearance of time and space, all of it. None of it has an answer, right? Nothing you look at will have an answer. It's an
Mhm.
infinite regress of unknowability, no matter what you focus on. So
Yeah.
this is something that I found funny about some of the non-duality stuff I was looking at, was like they like discouraged looking at stuff. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would you discourage somebody from being curious? And then I started to realize, oh, these are like the snake oil salesman type people that want you to believe a certain thing and not, because if you're curious and you find something else to be interested in, you'll spend your money somewhere else and you'll spend your time and your
Right.
energy, and it gets that basic. And so that's, anytime somebody says that that you should curb your curiosity, or just do this, it's just this and nothing else. I yeah, right away I'm like, no,
Mm,
no, because no matter where I look, I see the same thing. It's an infinite regress of unknowability, but
mm,
it's not a bad thing. Just because you cannot know, and this is the beauty of it. This is what makes it infinite. In that, until it's not infinite, because we will never be able to definitively say one way or another if what we're experiencing is actually happening as it appears, because
Mhm.
nothing has an explanation. Nothing that appears actually has an explanation. It has a theory, It has, a lot of people have stories connected to. I mean, hell, we're talking about whether or not the Earth is flat or
Mhm.
round. I mean, that is how little we can know about the world.
Right.
I mean, we don't even know if we're on a disc or on a sphere. How unknowable can something be? That is, that's incredible to me. So anything you look at, it's going to be unknowable. And the beauty of it is, instead of running away from that, I prefer, well, let's dive into this. Let's see what can and cannot be known, and let's have fun with our own imaginations as they appear, or however you want to say that, and come up with whatever stories we like, and enjoy each other, enjoy whatever this is, rather than say that, oh, no, we have to come up with something that to explain it. The reason why it's infinite, both infinite and finite, is because we can't know what's beyond the moment in the dualistic sense of immediate
Mhm.
experience, but B, we can't know anything at all about anything. And in that way, what what appears to me is this conversation between the finite and the infinite, and we being the finite, but also a finite appearance about with an infinite regress, talking to the infinite unknowability of existence. And in this way, without trying to hold on to any one idea about what is or is not the way things are, and you just allow it to the suggestion, the two polar suggestions of thought being other, which appear, some would say, out of subconsciousness that can't be verified. So other appear. It's a suggestion. There's something here, and the reaction to that, which is the dualistic self. So you have other, the non-duality, the unknowability, simply appears out of nothing, right? And then you have everything that reacts to it, and then that splays off in a billion different ways. In every second, a billion different trajectories. And all of it is all simultaneously already done, spontaneous, simultaneous, and never happened. It literally is all of those things at the same time. And that can be logically ascertained, that it literally is. um if somebody says it's just this, they can be saying it's just this, and that their understanding of what just this is the limitation to existence itself, and to them it is. But your understanding is will never completely encapsulate what this is. It's impossible to do so as a dualistic individual. This is
Mhm.
now a claim I am making that does it. I'm not asking for validation. I'm saying this is what it appears as to me. The moment is malleable to your understanding as an appearance, and you're malleable to the extent that you could be the infinite unknown, and but not want to change it, and to see that it is that space and time are just one of an infinite amount of games to play. But infinity and finite are basically relevant only to this game, only to this moment, because there are all these other games have nothing to do with dimension or time or space or anything, and there are literally an infinite way, an infinite variety of ways to appear. It doesn't have anything to do with what we think is the only way to exist, and but not exist at the same time, because existence itself cannot be validated to be happening. And so yeah, for me, a lot of people say, oh my god, like at first they're like, oh, this is too much, you're thinking too much, or because I can get really into it,
Yeah.
and and I'm like, well, no, I like my stuff easier. It's more simple. It's just this. It's just this moment. And I'm like, and you're not doing anything. And I'm like, and you think too much. You make it too complicated. I'm like, well, if what you're saying is true, then I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing this. I am not thinking too much, no matter what I think or feel. I am not saying it, right? And you're not hearing it. We're just suggesting that it is beyond your, infantile ability to understand what this moment actually represents. And Yeah, there is no parameter or limit to that. So it does appear like this finite little moment, this immediate experience is like the totality of existence. And to somebody that cannot see beyond it, it is. However, um, it's to that and to that the world is flat, and you're looking at it, you say the world is flat, it is flat. It's just, these three dimensions in time as they appear without being explained or validated. And that is just the appearance of what is, and that's the totality of existence. That to me is literally, I feel like an alien looking at a caveman. It's like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
not to me, it's not, because, and for obvious reasons. And when I try to explain it to them, oh, that's too complicated. And it's like, well, I mean, do you really want to? I mean, do you want to explore this, or you just want to believe something? You
Yeah.
know, and yeah, I'm with you, Melissa, in that in a lot of ways, this is very much like a religion. A lot of people, even though they
Mhm.
say it's about, I don't believe
Thank you
anything
for
or anything.
saying that.
Yeah, it's very much. Oh my God, forget about it. It's very, very much like a religion,
Mhm.
and
Did you
it's a
drink the
trap.
Kool-Aid?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, no. I'm so
Big
happy,
time.
in fact, that I did do it on my own, because
Mhm.
and even once I realized that other people, then, and I think one of the reasons why I actually got to this level now, where I'm actually kind of turning into a little bit of a speaker, a little, just a little bit, but like I found myself in a room the other day full of people, and I was like, they're asking me questions. I'm like, what the hell are you asking me? I thought it was like all of a sudden, but I've heard people say, "Oh, it just kind of happened," and I'm like, "Yeah, bullshit," but it is. It
So,
just kind of happened. It's just weird.
do you feel like I'm sorry, I'm taking over your interview.
No, go ahead.
So, do you feel like people who are in non-duality have a hard time having relationships?
Oh gosh, it's like anything else. I mean, it's like anything else. I personally had a tough time because it never occurred to me that other people didn't see it the way I did, and
Right.
it just it was so terrible, because once I realized, oh, I'm an asshole. Oh my God, I'm an asshole. I couldn't believe, like, I didn't see it, but like, people were thinking I was being aloof with them. Like, it does not matter, what,
Right.
because I would be just like, "Yay, whatever happens, happens, and let's go." I mean,
Right.
that's what I like. When when it's just spontaneous on the moment, and it did not matter. You come or go with me, it does not matter. I'm going. You know,
Ooh, you gave
and
me a good idea. You
yeah,
gave me a good
and
idea.
it's so,
I'm
but
gonna
I
create
came across like an asshole, I was like, well, why are they mad at me? Why are they mad? Why don't they just come with me, or I don't get it. And
I have a
it wasn't
solution
until
though.
somebody told me it was the same thing, uh, kind of like with the speaker thing. I used to run from people that would ask me questions and stuff, because I didn't want to be a speaker, right? And you can't ask somebody else. I'd always say that I would never go to somebody to ask about my own experience. That's ridiculous.
Mhm.
But then somebody told me the other day, and it dawned on me. It's like, 'cause I always felt weird about, speaking about this, and like having people follow. And I'm
Right.
like, don't ever follow anyone. And this one lady goes, but wait a minute. I didn't have an experience when I was 8 years old. Okay. I didn't, I'm curious about this. I don't know. So I'm asking you, and you're telling me not to follow you. I want to know what you have to say. Why is that wrong? And I was like, damn, I was just so stupid. It never occurred to me that like, well, I've never had an experience, and then, it's just, yeah, there's, I think non-duality in my case made me very aloof to people's feelings when it was not intended, and I made a lot of
Mhm.
mistakes in regards to relationships. Now, as far as anybody else is concerned, I cannot say, but for me, it definitely impacted my ability,
Right.
my social, skills were definitely affected. Yes.
So I think I have a solution for that.
Okay.
I'm gonna create a non-duality dating app.
Ah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Why have I not
what's
thought of that?
what's
That
the
is genius.
what's
That
the
is
market of
genius.
that?
That is so beautiful.
I
That
don't
is
think that'd be a
genius.
market for that.
It
Oh my
would be a
God, there's
market
gotta be a
for
Well, there
day.
might be.
What are you
I mean,
kidding me? Oh, there's
like there's
gotta be a
nobody
day.
here.
Well, think about it.
nobody.
You'll have the
It's not really
you'll have
happening.
you'll have the tantric types, the ones that are all
Yeah,
about the
Oh,
sex.
yeah.
Then you'll have the Indian,
I'm gonna do
the
it.
Hindu kind.
Yeah, I
Then
see.
you'll have the oh yeah, you have the Tony people and oh
Yeah,
man,
The
that would
yeah.
be
Tony
beautiful.
people.
Can
The
you
Tony
imagine?
person.
Oh, you ought to do that.
I know it'd be great, wouldn't it?
Perfect.
That's
Why
great.
not?
Okay. So then I got one more question about that. So yeah, I was going to ask you earlier. So you've ever thought about being an official speaker,
Um,
going out there,
well,
or
sure.
would
Well, no,
that be?
I
Go ahead.
can't. I would have to do it from my bed. I'm crippled. It hurts to move. I cannot move, so it's very difficult. And that's another thing that I was shown. I was shown that I was shown when I would be crippled, how I'd be crippled.
Wow.
And I was shown that I would be speaking to people. Like people would be asked. People were like, I was shown my bed and that I couldn't leave it. And there are people coming from around the world to talk to me. And I was like, what are they talking? Why do they want to talk to me? And and he said, because of this, because of your experience now. And I'm like, wow. So like I'm supposed to try to figure out how to tell them what, you know,
Yeah.
So my
yeah,
question is, who who
it's
told
what it
you?
is. Huh?
So who what told you
Well,
about these
and
events
I
that were
asked and
happening?
right. It looked like a 28-year-old regular guy,
Right.
like a normal person. And I asked him, "Are you God?" And he said, "No, I'm not God. I'm not what you think God is. No, it's not about that." And what it is, what I was, and this is all very loose language, but what it was explained to me as was, um, no, this is just the way you can relate. This is the
Right.
best way to relate
Right.
to
Right.
what we're trying to say, to what's going on. And so in a way, for the longest time, I tried to hide that aspect that there was a guy with me that was kind of guiding me through
Mhm.
these things. But I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know how that happened. I don't know why that was the way it was. But that guy never left me ever. Yeah,
Mhm.
like to this day. And it's like, you know, it's funny. They like that when I get that voice, I know that voice. And then it's like, and when it says a specific thing, I know that's going to happen. They'll show me different things, all kinds of stuff. So, and it's like, I don't know why or what that is. And I
Mhm.
have no idea how to
I
explain that.
understand you on that aspect of it. I really
Yeah.
do. I get you on that aspect because I have things like that too that happen, but I can't control it, which really sucks. But it comes, and when it comes,
It comes when it
it
comes,
get
right?
yeah, but sometimes it gets a little scary
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
me because I've seen things like a long time ago when there was that tsunami. I seen it 2 days before it happened, and it was like I was like
Mm,
literally there, and it sucks because it's
mm,
scary when it actually happens, and you're like, oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But I mean, but it's weird. It's like because I like you. It's like I don't think it's. I'm not saying I do or do. I just say maybe it's like a higher thing. I
I
don't.
don't know.
Like you're right, because you don't know because you can't
I don't know.
explain it. It's a higher
Yeah.
thing that is happening that you're able to maybe tap into something
Right. You're not
universal.
separate from it, but at the same time, you're not privy to
Right.
the whole thing of it.
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
it's weird because yeah, it's kind of this strange thing that we're in like everything else I'm saying is dualistic and it's non-dual. At the same time, you don't know it, but you know something else is there's something that's not you can
Right.
figure
Right.
out. And it's like
Right.
Very cool.
and the weirdest thing about speaking, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I can't lie. I don't want to lie about this at all ever. This is my life and I'm not going to lie. But I didn't want to be out totally honest about everything either
Right.
because it's private and I don't want people to give me shit about something that's my life. It's what I
Right.
am. And whether it's appearance or no, I don't want to throw it out there to be to be ridiculed, and
Mm-hmm.
plus it's hard to explain. But then I just said, you know what? What else better way to be a speaker than to get up there and say, look, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but this is how it appears to me. And I'm not going to lie to you guys and say, I know that this is this, and this is what this represents, and that's what that is, and that's how this works, and blah, 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 blah. No, what I'm going to say is, I'm just like you guys. I'm trying to figure out these weird things that happen in my life and how things appear to me, but they can't make a linear they can't make like a logical sense. But at the same time, I don't want to just make a claim and base this my whole subject matter on an empty claim that can't be verified. So what I'm going to do is literally be honest with you guys about how malleable my own interpretation is. And what I got back from that was I mean the biggest, I mean that's when I really started, people started to, you know, say, hey, maybe this guy's not so bad, because it's not like I was trying to push some other way of looking at it. What I'm trying to say is that, this is just the way it appears to me, and as embarrassing as some of this stuff is, and as ludicrous as it sounds, this is simply as it is. This is simply the way my apparent reality,
It's
reveals
happening.
itself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and when I became more human about it, the more I became vulnerable to and susceptible to, look, guys, I'm just gonna lay it out. That is when I started getting more people. Like, people actually started resonating with that. And so the whole thing's beautiful because I don't have to lie. And I could
Yeah.
just say I don't know. And but this is how it appears, and then talk
Mm-hmm.
about how it looks to me, and then
Yeah.
somebody else will say, yeah, I know what you're saying. And it's like, so in talking about the things that are even the most, you don't, kind of delicate, it turns out that those are the things that the people really can resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, so it's really what it's like walking. It's exciting and fun, and
Mhm.
also confirming for me, because I knew it was going to happen. And so, like, when people say, "Well, why are you so happy? You're bedridden. You're crippled. How, what the fuck?" It's like, you're always smiling. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You should be bitching or something. And I'm like, well,
Right.
the for me, the thing is that when it happened, and I told, my friends and my mom and everybody, like I did with other, like you said, with the flood, things that I know are going to happen,
Right.
I will tell my friends and my, my family, and I'll say, look, this is going to, and they've learned to listen to me, and it's like,
Mhm.
but the thing about it is, um, with the cripple thing, I knew it when I went in. I knew it. I'm not leaving this hospital walking. I mean, they're going to cripple me. And I told
Right.
my mom, I was like, this is it. So it's for her whole life.
Yeah.
God bless her.
Mm.
She's like, oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're nuts. Oh, you're
Yeah.
crazy. I haven't walked since, So
Oh, you'll be fine.
yeah, yeah.
You're just
Everybody but
nervous.
mom is on board.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, of course.
Did you have another question?
Well,
Or are you good?
okay, so then it becomes to that, right? Like, where you're at, and does that ease the suffering of saying, oh, I'm gonna be bedridden for the rest of my life? How does that? Uh,
Oh, it's completely confirming to me. It doesn't, for me, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I trained my entire life, essentially, to be here now. I mean,
okay.
to be in this position. I mean, I've done it all my life. I have been searching and looking for ways to
Mhm.
to talk about this, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how or why it was going to end up that way, but I just knew it would. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of self-confirming in a way, because of what I saw in the experience, or in the vision, or whatever you want to say. It changed my life and actually put me on a path to get to where the vision showed me I would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But like, the craziness of it is just the randomness of how I accumulated information throughout the years, was amazing. But it wasn't until Facebook that I really did it. Like I suddenly had a venue to be open about. I can be relatively open. I joined like an Alan Parsons group and stuff like that, or Alan Watts group, and but the people that was the first thing that I ever joined. As far as like non-duality was concerned, and immediately I was like, "This is no, no. It goes further." And it wasn't, although beautiful, I love Alan Watts, but the people that were there were definitely struggling, couldn't understand. There's a lot of seekers, and I didn't realize how much I had influenced these people that were in the group. And when I decided to open my own group, I couldn't believe it. Like 1,000 people came with me, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And but that was when I really opened my eyes. That wow, okay, there's a lot of people out here that kind of resonate with they could listen to what I'm saying. It's amazing.
Very good.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So since you kind of say it's kind of like a religion, if you were to have a church, what would it be named?
Nothing by chance, but nothing by chance, or I don't know, not really. Nothing by chance with the I don't know, not really secondary. But no, it would be a church would indicate a deity, and I simply don't believe in a deity. I'm not
Right.
saying that there's not a deity. I'm saying that there is and there isn't, and but
Right.
non-duality goes beyond it, much beyond those kind of dualistic understandings. And that,
Right.
yeah, if God is everything, for example, what is not God, and what is God the God of? If God is everything, so
Mhm.
so that's well, God is everything. Okay, well, what's not God? Nothing. Okay, so what is God the God of? I mean, why do you need a God if God is everything? You are God if God is everything.
Very good.
If you want to look at it like that. So there's
Yeah.
no deity or subject.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think that was all my
Yeah, I
questions.
like to. That's a great way to end it,
Mhm.
Howard. I want
Hey,
to
you
thank
guys
you.
are great, man. Thank you. I've been wanting to talk to you for weeks, Melissa. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, I still had more. We'll have to do another one.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another
Let's
I
one.
feel
do
like
it.
I hijacked this
Melissa,
meeting.
thank you guys.
No, you're fine.
You guys are great. Thanks,
Thank you,
Alicia.
Howard.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Howard.
it.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Talk to you later.
Bye.